Hey there, welcome to the very first episode of the Film Frenzy podcast. I'm so excited to get started. Here on Film Frenzy, I will be reviewing and breaking down a variety of different films. For this very first episode, I will be reviewing the highly praised sci-fi blockbuster Dune Part 2. To start off, did this highly anticipated sequel, adapted from the original Dune story, created by Frank Herbert, live up to the hype? I believe that it most definitely did, in my opinion. It elevated everything good about the first film. The world building is masterfully crafted. The performances are also stellar. The increased action sequences are incredible. While the quieter moments are almost just as entertaining, it lets you take in each moment that builds up to the action, which makes it even more spectacular. It explores the relationship between power and its manifestations, highlighting how they drive individuals and entire civilizations towards conflict. There are so many little details and elements that make the film so immersive. One of these is the inspired but invented language that was padded on top of the real Chakobsa language. Fun fact, the Northwest Caucasian language was lightly referenced by author Frank Herbert in the novels. It really felt like a realistic real-world language, which added to the sense of realness to the Fremen. One of the things that impressed me the most was the complexity of the character Paul Atreides. It really delves deeply into Paul's internal struggles as he's caught between his responsibilities while trying to deal with the weight and importance of the Lisan al-Gaib prophecy and the expectations his mother has of him. He's a young man grappling enormous pressure in this epic narrative. In the film, Paul Atreides is an anti-hero who falls victim to the pressures upon him. Therefore, his story and character development acts as a cautionary tale. In this sequel, the stakes are higher, the political tensions between the different houses are even more extreme. If the first Dune is primarily exposition, Part 2 is the payoff. While initially, when I first watched the first film, I felt that not much happened to justify the almost 3-hour narrative other than the setup. However, it for sure pays off as so much happens in this part, and there's so much to admire. Everything great about the first film has been elevated to another level. A grander spectacle, deeper character exploration, amplified action makes an epic continuation. Both films complement themselves so well. I now appreciate and enjoy the first film so much more. Religion, prophecy, power, and destiny are heavily featured as the main themes. Paul is concerned that blind, religious fanatics will do too much while following him, when he only wants to settle down as one of the Fremen. The entire Bene Gesserit faith, with the devious Reverend Mother in the lead, uses these themes as a way to control and direct all the ways of the Empire. At the heart of Dune Part 2 lies the struggle for control over Arrakis, the desert planet rich in the coveted spice which grants power and can be used in space travel. Now onto another positive in this highly anticipated sequel, is the significant amount of increased screen time that Zendaya gets to portray the character as Chani. Everyone was of course disappointed with the limited amount of screen time that we saw her in the first film, which was 7 minutes to be precise. However, fans were definitely not dissatisfied this time around because she is in one of the leading roles alongside Timothée Chalamet. In Dune Part 2, Chani evolves from the mysterious Fremen warrior very briefly showcased in the first film to a more integral and multi-dimensional character. From the moment Chani steps onto the screen, she embodies the essence of the Fremen. Her connection to Arrakis feels organic, with her every action and word reflecting the deep bond with the desert and its people. This authenticity grounds her character, making her more than just a love interest to Paul Atreides. She's a warrior, a guide, and a symbol of hope and resilience. Before I continue, I am thrilled to say that this podcast is brought to you by Odeon Cinemas. I'm also delighted to share this amazing deal with you. They are offering a special 50% off voucher on the next film ticket you buy. To claim this, just enter the code FilmFrenzy50 online via the Odeon website just before you confirm your purchase. Be sure not to miss out, and massive thanks to Odeon for supporting the Film Frenzy podcast. Let's dive back in. Now, let's explore the character of Feyd-Rautha. Austin Butler gives a legendary performance as he expertly portrays the psychotic, vicious, and fearless warrior. Feyd is the young and ruthless heir of the Harkonnen family, yet within the context of the film's evolving narrative, his character offers layers of complexity. Despite his role as initial antagonist to Paul Atreides, Fade's motivations are rooted in universal desires, the quest for greatness, recognition, and self-definition. By somewhat humanising the character despite his evil roots, the story elevates him from a mere villain to a tragic figure, just like Paul Atreides, whose arc may resonate with those familiar with the pressures of legacy, family, and destiny. Now, on to Fade Rotha in the context of House Harkonnen. The Harkonnen family is steeped in cruelty, exploitation, and power hunger. Fade, however, is not entirely bound by the toxic influence of his uncle, the Baron. The family has shaped him, but it has not fully consumed him. His desire to break free from his uncle's grip and prove his worth outside of the Baron's shadow demonstrates his internal struggle to carve out a unique identity for himself, his attempt to redefine what it means to be a ruler, independent of the Harkonnen culture, is noble in its ambition, if not in its methods. Now, let's briefly talk about the cinematography of the film. The brilliant Greg Fraser once again captures the vastness and beauty of the desert planet Arrakis, with sweeping, magnificent desert landscapes, represents the mythical culture of the Dune world. Before this episode comes to a close, I wish to briefly mention the sound design. The legendary Hans Zimmer is back doing what he does best, with brilliant rhythmic compositions and harrowing chants and drums. The soundtrack complements and enhances the amazing cinematography and brings the audience more into the world and keeps them engaged. Thank you so much for listening to this very first episode of the Film Frenzy podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to me review such a spectacular science fiction epic. Make sure to tune in next episode. Please let me know which film I should review and break down next in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.